In 2002 and 2003, remember, Prime Minister Jean Chrétien said his government would decriminalize marijuana. Courts were striking down the marijuana law, and the Bush administration officials from the U.S. were on a bully offensive to stop this Canadian deviation from the hardline U.S. war on drugs. Now, pay attention to what Larry Campbell says about the drug czar's visit and the threats uttered by Walters and his second-in-command, David Murray, that November 2002. It's in the movie documentary Prince of Pot, U.S. versus Marc Emery, and that's available on DVD now. But it's been broadcast over 20 times on CBC Television and the Knowledge Network here in Canada to over 4 million Canadians. Campbell reiterated that they heard nothing but a stream of abusive threats about stopping the border for trade if marijuana legalization went ahead, and more importantly, they kept emphasizing that Emery had to be stopped and that he had to be taken down. At this time, I was sponsoring the Canadian Supreme Court challenge, for example, in 2008 to the marijuana laws. We were going to go to the Supreme Court, and we did in December 2003, where we unfortunately lost 6-3. And I was sponsoring medical marijuana ballot initiatives all throughout the United States, in Washington, D.C., in Arizona, in Colorado, in Alaska. I was sponsoring the global marijuana marches all over the world in 300 cities. I was sponsoring political parties all over the world in Israel, in New Zealand, in Canada, the United States. I was smoking out cities on my Summer of Legalization tour of 2003. I was appearing in movies. I was getting big crowds, and Canada was on the verge of legalization, and more marijuana was being grown in the United States and Canada than ever before. I gave, remember, $4 million to legalization groups like Marijuana Policy Project and so many other groups around the world, Cures Not Wars, in just 10 years from 1995 to 2005. Dozens, hundreds of different campaigns that I paid for that were not run or owned by me, that were designed to start a revolution around the world. And that's why the U.S. and Canadian federal governments are so determined to punish me. Even while 4,000 Canadians and now 500,000 Californians have a legal right under law to possess and grow marijuana today. In California, there are over 600 cannabis dispensaries in Los Angeles alone, and over 1,000 in all California. And all of these dispensaries are selling pounds of dried marijuana daily. They are selling hashish. They are selling hundreds of plant cuttings daily. And a large selection of cannabis seeds are available all throughout California, and in fact are available at Canadian medical marijuana shops too. You know, in Vancouver there are 3 medical marijuana shops selling pounds of marijuana daily, and there are over a dozen cannabis seed shops operating in Vancouver alone, many for the last 7 to 10 years, and all of them operate relatively unmolested. So what is my crime exactly? Yes, selling cannabis seeds is what is alleged, but it's my peaceful botanical revolutionary movement that's at the heart of my crime. I was mouthy, I was public, I was on movies, I was on TVs, and my unrelenting voice is what they are trying to stifle. So thank you, everyone, for demonstrating in front of Stephen Harper's Calgary Member of Parliament constituency office, and thank you to my supporters for demonstrating in front of Jack Layton, the leader of the NDP's constituency office, and thank you for doing that and for what any of you do for me in the future. Because my adversaries in the Canadian U.S. government want to hurt me, and they want to silence me, and they want to keep me on ice where I can't motivate our people. But with your help and your activism and your heroic efforts to make sure my name stays out before the public and that people continue to learn about the things I've done for the last 20 years on behalf of the cannabis culture and our peaceful, democratic, botanical revolution, with your consistent, never-stop efforts, I can continue to be a voice for freedom. But it's your vigilance, and that's what protects me from the evils of the U.S. prison system coming up. And only your persistent effort is going to free me from the grip of that U.S. drug war gulag. And only your effort will free all the others from the U.S. drug war gulag. So please do all you can to support Jody in her daunting task of keeping it all going, the Free Marc campaign, cannabisculture.com, our store. And you know what? I hate to say it, but I need money too. The Canadian government is garnishing any income paid to me by my old company, which I don't even own anymore. And so having relinquished that, they've garnished any money that's paid to me directly by my store. So I have to rely on donations by people like you to pay my lawyers, to pay for my telephone calls out of jail, to pay for me even being able to call these podcasts in. And it'll get worse when I'm sent to the United States because long-distance calls will cost lots of money. And it'll be more difficult for me to get books and newspapers and things like that. So I'm going to need increasingly more help from everybody. You know, I never saved any of the money from those seed sales. I gave it all away to our Overgrow the Government Revolution. $4 million. Hundreds and hundreds of different groups benefited from that. And I never held anything back, and I never kept anything for myself, and I never was about myself. It was never about me. It was about getting change, getting people out of jail, freeing the people, and making sure our revolution had lots of money and lots of impetus and lots of motivation and lots of inspiration desperation to get out and doing that. So anything you can do to help me would be awesome, and I really love it when people are in front of members of Parliament's offices and demonstrating on my behalf. And I'm going to hope my American friends and supporters will do the same thing. You know, there's been a vigil out front of my jail now for almost 50 days on my behalf in cold weather and rainy weather and all sorts of obstacles and difficulties. They're out there every day holding out signs saying free Marc and, you know, end prohibition and stop Bill C-15, and things like that have to continue, and I really am grateful for it. It makes staying in jail in this lonely, desolate place, this maximum security institution. Can you imagine a person like me in a maximum security institution in an 8x10 cell, concrete cell, 20 hours a day, is scribbling away, writing away? I'm so very lonely. But I'll endure. Thank you very much for everything and anything you can do. And please don't forget, the reason why I'm here is because I wanted to create a free society for people in our cannabis culture for over 20 years, and this is the price I'm paying. So thank you for all your help, and I look forward to talking to you all again.
Marc Emery may go down south. He's got a brain and he uses his mouth. A little loud, so he got caught. The whole world knows he's the Prince of Pot. He's the Prince of Pot. He's the Prince of Pot. Now shy.